Everybody, welcome to the CT Sports Talent Show. My name is Chris Saunders, and during the summer, I'm going to be doing recent previews as far as on various football teams as we lead into the 2024 football season. Before you know it, it's going to be, it's basically going to be the football season, and also too, marriage for me coming in the following month in October. That's going to be fun. As you know, my guest who's clapping his hands. I gotta start calling this maybe the Shea room or something like Club Shea. I think I may have to start calling that. Coach Shea's
No, no, no. I
Plainville.
work in silence. I work in silence. But for you, I'll do anything.
Coach, it's always fun to be able to have you. You and I were just shooting the what about various things.
Yep.
Obviously, we had you on for halftime, myself and a former track guy with you,
Yep.
Fly
Yep. My man
Bry.
Brian. Yeah,
Yep.
Fly Brian. He was fat. He was quick. He was quick. And it was just funny that a Woodland guy had to coach Ansonia kids, which was always a good time, Well, Ansonia football players, mind you. But yeah, it was Brian's good people. Brian's good people, and I'm glad I had him. I'm glad I had him when I had him. You gotta tell him hello. What's up? He's my man.
I will. I'll make sure I communicate that with him. He's back with me for another football season, so it's going to
Awesome.
be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
I want to kind of talk to you a little bit about, when the classes came out and you saw where you guys were this year.
Yep.
What was your
Yep.
first thought?
Well, I mean, I figured we were going to be a double S just by our enrollment wise. A few years ago, we were M, but we were at the very, very low end. And the following year, we were, a year before that, we were S at the very, very high end. So when they went back to the six classes, I figured that's where we're going to fit in.
Mhm.
We're solidly in the middle of double S. From my math, which is interesting as always. But a school our size, that's where we fit. That's where we fit. And our goal every year is to be one of the eight. We've been close. We need to get over that hump. And this year, each week, you never know. See what happens. See what happens at the end of the year, and see what happens after Thanksgiving. But right now everybody's 0-0. And we're working hard to get to the first game, and then from there, week by week, one game at a time.
You and I have talked for many years about how you can't lose games in the off season, but you can definitely, in
Yes.
multiple ways, lose it in other facets. Maybe not in the win-loss category,
Right. Right.
but
Right.
in the strength category, the mental aspect, and all that. And you had some great seniors that you were just telling me as far as
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
not so much last year are going to be maybe appreciated as much as down the line for
Yeah.
what they left for the kids coming up. Talk
Yeah.
to me about that if you can.
Well, again, losing seven seniors, all of them contributed. All of them has very specific roles, and all of them were good leaders in their own right. We were talking about, the three captains I had. I think they're one of the best sets I've had, and this is going on year 15 for me as a head coach. And just trying to teach them, like, that group was the original COVID class. They were freshmen
Yes.
that fall. A lot of them came in not knowing nothing, not knowing much, to where they finished. I like to think they laid a good groundwork, for the future classes. They went from nothing.
Mhm.
Their second year they were 7-3. Then we had the big hiccup on 10 year with injuries and whatnot, and they made a commitment saying it's not going to happen again. And last year, yeah, we were 5-5. We let a few things get away from us, and that's stuff I'm working real hard to fix and correct. And I'm hoping that first day conditioning was last week. And we talked about you guys are in the front of the room now. You're the senior class, and an old saying that Jeff Bivino told me a million years ago at Milford Academy was, what are this year's class all about? I said, what are the 24, 25, Blue Devils all about? Because at the end of the day, you're going to remember them. As in, people aren't going to talk about all the sophomore class or junior class. No, it's senior class. I was in that same boat when I was a senior 32 years ago. And to the point where that's where it is now. And I try to just tell the kids that you know put the effort, put the work in now, because you're going to blink, it's going to be over, and you don't want to have that regret, that sitting back around the holidays thinking, I wish I did blank. And it's something as all coaches, any sport, football especially, though, because it's a year-round thing, really, are working real hard right now. Hopefully, to be on the right side of things.
When you talk about what this year's team could potentially be, right? Without revealing too much, what could this team potentially be like early on in your
Well,
estimate?
there's a great Jimmy Johnson saying about potential, but I can't repeat it, because it's a PG-13 show, But we have a lot of guys back, on offense and on defense. We are returning a quarterback for his third year, which anytime you could do that, you're in a good position skill wise, who's being pushed by his sophomore brother. So that's going to be a fun ride home because they're both going to play. Me and old offensive line guy is it starts and stops up front.
Yes.
Again, we got to replace two very valuable linemen, which we're working hard at doing now. But on paper we got a bunch back on O, and we got a bunch back on D. But again, that's you still got to line them up. You still got to play every week. Right now, we're focused on getting through our summer.
Mhm.
Along with the new CIAC stuff we're allowed to do, and getting ready for town. That's week one.
I was just about to say too, and I'm glad that you mentioned as far as with what you do have coming back, and also
Yeah.
with CIEC stuff, being able to kind of add a little bit more time, 2 hours for 2 days per week.
Yep.
And I think
Yep.
that's awesome. Are the numbers still strong? I know, again, it's the summertime and vacations and
Yeah.
such. I understand that. But are people being able to, if they can come, are you seeing the numbers still very good?
Well, I mean, we're only 3 days in.
Okay.
Right now in our summer routine, I mean, everything's great the first week or two. We got to see about what's the grind of the summer, what's going to happen the end of July, this, that, and the other thing. And it is the summer. Kids go on vacations. Coaches go on vacations. People have jobs. This, that. It's a lot harder than people think. And me talking to a lot of guys about it, there's plenty of challenges there.
Mhm.
I mean, we're going to use it to our advantage, but it's just as challenging to get it all in and done. And it's just something we got to work on, and we'll adjust. Everybody will adjust to it, and we'll just do what they tell us.
You talked about how some of the stuff that happened last year, you're working very hard on yourself to make sure that does not happen again. And if I can really quick, as I look to my left and I see all of the track things, because you do
Oh,
coach track and
yes, I do.
you coach a fantastic job. And obviously I see all what those kids have done. Are
Yeah.
you able to take anything from that? And I know obviously the success of that to football is a little different, but can you take anything from that to football and translate that to the kids?
Definitely. I mean, we had 20 plus football players run outdoor.
Perfect.
Run outdoor. There's a lot of the same kids, and even with the girls I have, I'm also the head girls coach at Plainville too. The girls had a very good year.
Mhm.
Job girls won the South. It's coaches coaching. You know what I mean. You can if you can get a large group of people to all believe the same thing, follow the same things, and work for each other, count on me type attitude, and are accountable. You'll be successful in anything. Doesn't matter what it is. You're always trying to build, like-minded people, which is a lot of what we're doing now. We're gonna have a lot of young kids in some new spots, and it's like, hey, if you're good enough to play, you're gonna play. We had 5 freshmen letter last year. Now I had to have that conversation with them, like, you're sophomores now. Time to grow up. And the big thing we've been talking about recently is, time is now. Time is now. And it's starting to click, hit with them, and we just got to build on it day by day, week by week.
Now, with returning as far as the staff is concerned, is everybody coming back or is it a little different?
Oh, we're bringing in some other guys. We're expanding our staff. I'm always looking for quality people. Again, finding good people is hard to do. The game is a lot different now, coaching wise, than when I was in high school. Let alone when I even started coaching. Back 29 years ago for football. And it really is a year-round commitment, and you need, as a coach, a great support system around you. With assistants, as a head coach, you need even bigger support system. At home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It takes a lot to do what we do. And it's at my age, I like doing it. I'm doing exactly what I want to do as a profession per se. Every day I'm excited to go to work. It says that in my office, get excited. And that's something we continue to try to do. But yeah, we added some new guys on staff. I got some mix of some older guys, so I'm not the oldest guy in the room anymore. You know what I mean? With a bunch of young guys in their 20s, but a bunch of guys eager to learn. And we're just trying to put our best foot forward, identify some roles, and know that the kids deserve our best effort every day. And kids aren't, the kids know. The kids are a lot smarter than people give them credit for. And if we ask for their best effort, they deserve ours as well.
How beneficial is that to kind of have a mix of the old heads and the younger heads to be able to go with what is a very evolving game of football, as we've seen? How
Oh,
beneficial is that?
it's definitely beneficial because everybody brings a certain thing to the table. Just like with specialties with players, the same thing with coaches. Certain guys have certain jobs on game nights. This is what you have to do. Expect you to do it. And it's also good that I have some alumni who are around a little bit too, so they can, any head coach will tell you if you get some of your older other guys around who can offer that bridge to the players, like, listen, this is how he's going to act. It's tough. Hey, I went through it. I'm giving back. You can get, that that type of personality and that type of relationship you
Mhm.
have with that. I think that's the true sign of a good program is if you have kids willing to want to come back or you still communicate with. And our younger guys are getting more involved. And we're looking forward to the season. We met today a little bit. We got conditioning tomorrow, and
Mhm.
every week got to get better.
As you said, for how long you've been with Plainville now? 9 years. Obviously, you've been
Yep.
head coach 15 and such, doing everything you've done. Do you feel like, as a coach, because I know as coaches, every year you always feel like you're learning something new.
Oh, you
For
have
you,
to.
yeah,
Yeah.
for you specifically, to try to continue on that push, that grind. I mean, is it
Mhm.
wearing on you at all, or are you still kind of pushing through?
Oh, I mean, you're going to have those, those moments.
Mhm.
Anyone, people out there know what that means, and it's if you find your purpose and what you want to do, you'll get through it. You'll get through it. And it's about the journey. You know what I mean? You can't always base everything on what's today. You got to be able, as a leader, be able to reflect and have
Mhm.
those hard conversations, not only with your players, your staff, but with yourself. And as a coach, if you're not adjusting, adapting, finding new ways to do things, you're what's the old saying? You're getting stale. You know what I mean? That's something I don't want to do. I mean, they've people have taught this old dog some new tricks. You got to be able to think outside the box a little bit. You can't be afraid to try some new stuff. What worked in some ways years ago
Mhm.
just doesn't now. I mean, you have your core principles you're going to live by, stand by, go by, but the game is evolving. And even I was watching a documentary the other day with my wife, and I saw something very subtle that went on in the documentary. And I'm going to apply that this year, and I'm excited for it. I'm going to get ready to use it. And it's again, there's always like little notepads. Like I have hundreds of screenshots on my phone. I send myself little notes and emails. Hey, remember this? Hey, write this down. And I'm not the only one. A lot of people do it. And that's just how we get by. And that's just how we move on.
Mhm. I think another thing too to kind of add to that is because you have such a great relationship with coaches all over the state, and I know specifically in the NVL because you're an NVL guy and you know so many coach. I know we were talking about Moff, and he's
Yeah,
such an underrated coach, and he doesn't get a lot of credit recognition. I don't know why. I've said it in his days at Woodland when he built that thing from they were 1-9 and then back-to-back playoffs and all that. It started in the weight room. I tell you that all the time. And he
yeah,
told me that when I interviewed him for the first time, and he was intimidating. He told me the weight room is how you win games. And I didn't
yeah,
understand it until I saw it on the field. So are
yeah.
you able to
I mean,
talk to coaches and stuff?
yeah, it's more than just pushing iron. It's the continuity, it's the camaraderie.
Mhm.
Everybody in there working towards one goal. And I'm a big like Inky Johnson guy, John Gordon guy, so I read all those books and listen to a lot of the stuff. There's a thing I written on my desk that Inky said last summer. Greatness is on the other side of I don't feel like it, and I look at it every day, and I remind our kids of that. Pretty much all the time. We have some of those quotes written up on our board. And that's just something you got to be able to do that. But Moff's a offensive lineman. We work in silence.
I can tell you though, seeing Moff coach the defensive side schematically, the way he's able. So I got to tell you a quick story. So they're playing against Holy Cross, right?
Yeah,
And he does pre-snap stuff, and then post-snap.
yeah,
And he was confusing Coet, who,
yeah,
mind you, was entering his third year as a starting quarterback, 2.5 years,
yeah,
and he was just causing havoc. And the way that the kids were able to dissect, not even dissect it, but digest it and understand it,
yeah.
he just you don't see a lot of coaches do that.
No, no, Moff is excellent. I mean, he was my O line coach at Woodland, and then ultimately my DC, and we
Mhm.
made great strides in everything we were doing. Because of a lot of work he does. He's very old school. He puts his head down. He's a grunt. he goes to work. I mean, he finds out we're talking about him right now. He's going to turn beet red and probably start yelling at me. But that's fine. He does a great job. He's very formidable in what they do, and you're gonna have to do your homework to get by.
And, it also helps too. He's got a Woodland guy as well next to him, kind of have that relationship with Anderson and
Yeah,
just staff itself. That Naugatuck staff has done a lot of work the last couple of years, man, and they've really kind of, in a lot of ways, I think whoever down the road ends up taking the jobs over when these coaches decide to move on, they've got a tough. It's going to be tough because they set the bar extremely high.
yeah. I mean, not that there's 100 plus years of history there, and I spent 12 years sharing the same space about the size of a cubicle with Chris Anderson. I was his DC and line coach. Back when, in 2002 when we went varsity for the first time at Woodland, and
Mhm.
him and I shared that that close space. Him and I've been through a lot of stuff. He's one of the brightest offensive minded football coaches I know. I mean, and one another reason why there are game scrimmage too, which is up here this year up in the Ville. And yeah, he's a tremendous coach. And they got a very good staff there. And it shows the kids bought in over there. They're playing there for them. As an alumni, I'm a happy guy. Get to see that every year. And yeah, their future is bright too.
I can tell you, they got some big offensive linemen. They got some big boys.
Yeah, they do.
They're
Yeah, they
young.
Yeah, they do. Yes,
So
they are. Yeah, I got the. I usually get the phone call every once in a while. In the vent sesh I get sometimes. But hey, it's us coaches. I talk to our thread guys. If you know,
mhm.
like my phone zapping right now. And if coaches in this community, if you can't lean on each other and bounce ideas off each other and get yourselves through stuff, we're all basically in this for the same thing.
Mhm.
Is a tremendous community we're all part of, man. And we have our battles, but at the end of the day, we're all in it for the same thing.
Shay, before I let you go, and I really appreciate you coming on, it's always a pleasure. I know when you do have the scrimmage with Naugatuck, you will not be seeing Jet Hall anymore, which I think the whole state is very happy not to see him because he's just,
That's a good football player. That's a good football player there.
yeah, to put that in words that we can't say otherwise, very good football player.
Very
But
good football.
as somebody who was able to see him in person in the playoff game, and obviously you saw him playing other times,
Yeah,
and also a guy who's seen a thing or two about football.
yeah,
Give me your thoughts on Jet Hall because my takeaway from him is he's one of the best high school football players that I have seen since I started broadcasting.
yeah. I think so. I think so. I mean, we saw someone a little better than that up here. With Victor Rosa. Does absolutely everything. You know what I mean? But Jet, very good throwback football player, very smart. He'll be very successful in college. I mean, I've known his family forever, as well, and he fit into that school, that town, that mindset, and yeah, wherever you needed him, he was there. He was
Yeah.
that guy, kind of like a Woodland Wheel, Jack DBS type person, and yeah, that's a once in a generational player. You know what I mean? He'll be talked about there for a very very long time, and he'll be compared to, which is the ultimate compliment.
And you talk about a humble kid too. I mean, every time I talk to him, you would never ever think that he did what he did on the field. You would never expect that because he was
Yeah,
just so humble.
yeah. I mean, those are the best kind. I'm sure there was plenty of fire and stuff going through his mind, and but the best ones don't make it about themselves. They're in it for the team, and they let their actions speak louder than the words. And now, tremendous football player. I'm glad we only dealt with him at a scrimmage for a half. You know what I mean? Instead of having to do it for 48 minutes. But it's those are the type of kids you love to just watch play.
Mhm.
Those caliber of kids, like, wow, did he just do that? Type deal. We had seeing all those Ansonia backs over the years as well. Like, oh, did he just do that? And as a pure football guy, that's always a fun thing to see.
Shay, got to end it right here. I appreciate you coming on, man. Always a pleasure. Please stay in touch.
You got it. Anything for you.
Now, wrap things up here in the CT Sports Talent Show. So next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm trying to find them all. Enjoy this day, everybody, and be well.